Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be starting signed number subtraction, and really the basic thing that you really need to remember is that when you see a minus sign, we're going to change it to a plus sign. Okay, adding is easier than subtracting, so we're going to practice that on this side of the paper first, and then we're going to practice using number lines on the other side. The directions: you can subtract by adding the opposite. Fill in the blanks to rewrite the subtraction as addition and solve. The first problem has been done for you. So if we look at number 1, the original problem is 7 minus 4. Now, some of us might not need to really do anything because 7 minus 4 is a pretty simple problem. But when we get into bigger numbers, we might have an issue. So this is why we use what's called additive inverse. Okay, additive means adding, and inverse means opposite. So when you hear the phrase additive inverse, we're going to add the opposite. So whenever I see a minus sign, I'm going to change it to a plus sign. There's the adding. And then the opposite is the number right after the minus sign goes to its opposite. So the opposite of positive 4 is negative 4. Notice that that first number, that 7, stays exactly the same. So the only things that change are the minus sign and the number after it. Then we can sit here and think, okay, well 7 minus 4 is the same thing as 7 plus negative 4. If I can picture a number line, I'm going to go right 7 units on the number line and then back 4 on the number line, which puts me at 3. Let's look at number 2. 10 minus 8. Some of you might automatically just say that's 2. But that is not the goal of this paper. I need to see all of these things filled in. We are practicing rewriting subtraction as addition. So instead, I'm going to write the first number. So we're going to copy the first number. It stays exactly the same. I see the minus sign. I change it to a plus sign. If you want to get in the habit of writing that plus sign, I would do that. Then the number right after that is a positive 8. What is the opposite of positive 8? The opposite of positive 8 is negative 8. Okay, and I know that if I use the number line, if I go 10 units to the right and then back 8, I'm subtracting those two numbers, so 10 minus 8 is 2. Let's look at another one. 9 minus negative 5. The first number always stays the same. This minus sign changes to a plus sign. And then the number right after the minus sign is negative 5. I'm going to change it to its opposite, and the opposite of negative 5 is positive 5. Now I have 9 plus 5, and we know that adding is easier than subtracting, so I know that when I add these two together, I'm going to end up with 14. Positive 14. Let's look at number 4. I can move this up a little bit. Number 4 is negative 12 minus 6. Now be careful. A lot of students are going to write 12 here and it will get marked wrong because we have a negative sign in front of that 12. We have to include it. Those go together. Okay, so the first number has been copied. I see a minus sign. That's going to change to a plus sign. And then the number is positive 6. And the opposite of positive 6 is negative 6. Now to add these two together, I have negative 12 plus negative 6. Picture a number line. We're going to go left 12, and then we're going to go left 6 more. So that means we're going more negative. So I can take these two numbers, 12 plus 6, and I know that it equals 18. But since I'm going more negative, I have to make sure I put that negative sign on my answer. You are going to complete 5 through 10 on your own. Make sure that all of these blank lines are filled in. Make sure that you are adding correctly. You are not allowed to use a calculator for this. When you're ready, flip the page over and we'll do the other side. Okay, now that you're ready for the next side, we're subtracting integers using number lines. This is the same thing we've been doing when we were adding, The new thing is that we're changing minus signs to plus signs, and the number after the minus sign changes to its opposite in our addition problem. So -4 minus 1 is the same thing as on the other side. We have -4. We're going to change this minus sign to a plus sign, and then +1 changes to -1. And then we use our number line. So if we start at -4, I know I can go back 1, that's negative, going to the left, and that equals -5. So -4 plus -1 equals -5. That's the same thing as saying -4 minus 1 also equals -5. Okay, and if we look at our other example, when we subtract a negative number, we don't have to panic. Instead, we're going to write the first number, copy it. I see a minus sign, so that changes to a plus sign. And then the number after it is -2, so it goes to the opposite, which is +2. 5 plus 2. If I start on my number line at 5 and add 2 more, which I know is going to the right, I'm going to end up at +7. So 5 minus -2 also equals 7. Okay, we're going to do that with these next few problems. So -1 minus 7. The first thing we're going to do is rewrite it as an addition problem. -1, I see a minus sign, so I'm going to change it to a plus sign. And the number after it is +7, so I'm going to make it the opposite, which is -7. Now, when I go to the number line, I'm going to start at -1, and I'm going to add 7 more negatives. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to draw an arrow from -1 to -8. That's 7 units long, and that arrow points to our answer. So -1 plus -7 is -8. But that also means that -1 minus 7 is also -8. I forgot to do my arrow from 0 to -1. That's bad for me. So I'm going to do number 2 correctly. 2 minus 8. So I rewrite this as an addition problem. So 2, I see a minus sign, I'm going to change it to a plus sign. The opposite of +8 is -8. Now I'm going to start with my first number, so I'm going to go to +2. So if I start on the number line at 0 and go to +2, and then I'm going to add -8. Negative means I'm going left, so I'm going to go back 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My second arrow is going to go from +2 all the way to -6. Remember that the top arrow always points to our answer. So 2 plus -8 is -6. That also means that 2 minus 8 is -6. You're going to complete the rest of this on your own. Make sure that you have rewritten the subtraction problem as an addition problem, so like what I did up here in the red. You're going to do that underneath the problem. You also need to include 2 arrows on your line diagram. You have to circle your answer like I did here. These are required in order to get full credit. Good luck.